And I implore you now to follow the logic of what you are all doing and give the Ukrainians the tools to finish the job. Give them the deep fire artillery systems, give them the tanks, give them the planes, because they have a plan. They know what they need to do, and my God, they've shown they have the skill and the bravery to do it. Give them the wherewithal to take back that land bridge and the rest of their country, because the faster they win, the greater the savings in treasure and in lives, and the faster the world economy will bounce back to health. The prize before us is now immense. When Ukraine wins, and they will win, when Putin is pushed back, we will lift the threat of further Russian aggression in Georgia, in Moldova, in the Baltic states, across the whole of Eastern Europe. And by lifting that threat, we end the risk of further economic disruption, like the hikes in the cost of gas and food that have affected people in my country, in the UK, in this country, and around the world. How can we seriously worry about provoking him when we have seen what he will do without the slightest provocation? He isn't mad, he isn't ill, he simply made a historic, that's what I'm afraid all the evidence says, he simply made a historic miscalculation and is struggling to deal with the position in which he has now placed his own country. He won't use nuclear weapons because it would instantly extinguish the last flicker of Chinese support. It would lose him every one of the world's swing voters from India to Africa to Latin America. He would terrify his own people, if he did so, who would live in dread of the consequences for them. He would plunge Russia into such a cryogenic freeze of economic isolation as to make the present sanctions regime seem like a blessing. And it would not even work, because I don't believe for a minute he would stop the Ukrainians from fighting for their hearths and their homes and their families. And so we mustn't fall for this trick of trying to portray, that he does, of trying to portray this conflict as a standoff between a nuclear-armed NATO and a nuclear-armed Russia, because that is not what is happening here. We are seeing a barbaric attack on an innocent country, and we are simply giving the Ukrainians the means to protect themselves, as you might help a neighbor whose house is under attack from an arsonist. Do you give that person a hose and buckets and fire blankets? Yes, you do. And above all, we need to avoid being drawn into Putin's personal psychodrama. We're not here to worry about the next stage of his career or what happens in the Kremlin. We need to stop focusing on Putin and focus entirely on Ukraine, because they are fighting for all of us, everyone in this room. They're fighting for our values, and they have reminded us that those values of freedom and democracy are worth fighting for. So there are no conceivable grounds for delay. Let us end this pipette titration of support and give the Ukrainians the support they need to finish this war in the only way that it can and will be finished, and let us give them those tools now. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for your support for Ukraine.